as far as Kamala now on the campaign trail, you are mentioning that she really has to come and hit it hard, making sure that everyone knows where she stands, what she can do for the ticket.
She's got to be available, as she has been in the past.
She certainly has been very available in the past. Joining me now, Charlie Spiering. He wrote a book on Dome, a very interesting book you might want to pick up, a revealing book. And the book, just the title alone, Amateur Hour. Okay, Charlie, let's begin at her beginning in politics. Why does Willie Brown have anything to say about Kamala Harris? What's their relationship?
Yeah, Jesse, Willie Brown, he famously dated Kamala Harris when he was running for mayor of San Francisco. He was the most powerful man in California politics. And at the age of 60, he was looking for someone who would help him win the San Francisco mayor's race. Keep in mind, he's still married to his wife, Blanche, but she's been long estranged from, the couple has been long estranged from each other. Willie Brown's still paying some of her bills, but they never divorced. Flash forward to 1994 when Willie Brown meets Kamala Harris as a young Alameda County prosecutor. And they start dating just as he's running his campaign for mayor, and they hit it off well and run around to the most effective political events, the most fabulous parties and dinners, and she becomes the subject of gossip columns all around the city as he's running for mayor.
Okay, now, for those of us who don't quite understand California and San Francisco politics, could you maybe explain to me, Charlie, how that didn't sink his career or campaign, or hers? That would be a scandal, I would assume, in most of America.
Yeah, it was very interesting because most people were just looking for Willie Brown to settle down with one woman. He had the reputation of being a playboy, having a different girl on his arm every time he appeared in public or disappeared from public into his home. And so for him, San Francisco, a very progressive place, they saw Kamala Harris as an asset to Brown's campaign because he was. The gossip column specifically commented on how it was good that Willie Brown was spending time with an adult woman. So that's kind of the low bar that San Francisco politics has.
Okay, let's fast forward through Kamala's sordid past and let's focus on her time as a prosecutor, because that really was where she cut her teeth early on. Was she some commie quack? What kind of a prosecutor was this woman?
Yeah, it's very interesting. When she ran for her first elected office with the support and some financial backing from her former boyfriend, she made the case, San Francisco was struggling with, crime, drug use, prostitution in the streets. They were not happy with this progressive prosecutor that they had elected, whose name was Terrence Hallinan. Kamala Harris ran for office as kind of this, a little more centrist. She got on the steps of the Justice Building and demanded that Terrence Hallinan do more for women, do more for minorities who are being killed in the streets under his rule. So she famously, her slogan was like, let's not be soft on crime or tough on crime, but let's be smart on crime. Well, after she won her election, smart on crime turned out to be a little more like being smart for Kamala Harris and smart on politics. Just like we see with progressive prosecutors today who are just dropping charges without going to court on, seemingly lock-proof cases. Kamala Harris kind of started doing that, making her crime numbers look better when she didn't prosecute the amount of cases that were presented to her office.
Okay, so explain this to me. She's not running as a hardcore lefty prosecutor, and she gets elected AG of California, and she famously was chucking people in prison for marijuana offenses.
Right.
But then she gets elected to the United States Senate, and she's, in 2019, voted the most liberal senator, further to the left than Bernie Sanders. What happened there? Did she have some kind of come to, I guess it wouldn't be Jesus, come to the devil, whatever these commies worship?
Well, it was no mistake that she moved hard left as soon as she was elected to the Senate, and she clearly wanted to compete with Bernie Sanders on the presidential campaign trail. She thought that if she could get as close as she could to Bernie Sanders with none of the, old man Vermont weirdness, that voters would rally behind her campaign and that the young progressive left would really lift her up. And so she perfectly positioned herself with, bright shining stars at the time like AOC to tout stuff like the Green New Deal and ending private insurance and creating Medicare for all and allowing illegals into the country. That was a big part of her presidential campaign that, as we know now, kind of fell with a giant flop.
Yeah, it fell with a giant flop, and her time as VP has been a giant flop, as everyone knows. But I want to focus on something. The story came out today, but it's something that's been out there. I've talked about it before in the past. Her staff turnover as VP, 92% of her staff let go in just the first 3 years. Now, Charlie, you're a political animal, as I am, as everyone who's watching this is. If you're a political staffer, working for the vice president is a nice little notch on the belt and certainly a stepping stone, a good one to getting someplace even more prominent. Why would you leave instead of sticking around with this woman? Why so much turnover?
Yeah, she had the reputation, even in the Senate, of being a tough boss. Sources told me stories about how she would frequently curse out her staffers, her low-level staffers, every time there was a problem. But she'd even turn her fire towards staffers of the opposite party when she was annoyed or frustrated with them in certain rooms of the Senate. This only continued. As vice president, the same thing. Her staff quit in droves. Democrats and Washington staffers are pretty smart. Once they see that they're in a dead-end job, they have no problem leaving for greener pastures, even though, you would think the vice president's office is a pretty solid place to sort of leverage your career. In this case, it was a dead end, and that's why so many staffers just believed that the pain was not worth it.